Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 3 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Prophet, who is one of my favorite specialists by far. We're going to be talking about his awesome Tempest weapon, and what I think is his more awesome ability, the glitch ability. One of the more fun ones in the entire game. Got some testing, because there's a lot of rumors associated with glitch and all of the strange things it can do. A little bit of testing with Tempest, and a pretty sizable segment at the beginning of this video to talk about his story and the overall game lore. So Prophet's real name is David Wilkes. He served in the British Engineering Corps. As far as I'm aware, he's one of the only properly British characters in the game, and he is described as being the embodiment of cutting-edge human weaponry on the battlefield. He uses, or more accurately, relies upon technology to get the majority of his kills or to beef up his body. He is always upgrading himself to the next best thing. He talks about overclocking his own processors, buying himself more RAM. You've probably heard the thing with these upgrades, they never stood a chance. He seems to be the embodiment of the belief that good equipment makes a good soldier, so he wants to have the best equipment possible. There are other bits of his lore and story that you can read about indicating that he takes to technology better than other people, or he merges with his cybernetic augmentations better than others, and it kind of reminds me of this old superpower we had in like the 90s DC Comics. We had a guy that was just naturally awesome at computers and technology and all that sort of stuff, or maybe like Cyborg from the DC Comics, or if you played Deus Ex, the main character in that game has a genetic mutation that makes him take to cybernetic augmentations easier than everyone else, so he seems to be inspired by these characters. Now, what makes him important is that he is very likely to be the spy in the multiplayer story, which in short is that all of the specialists are not really playing multiplayer. All of multiplayer is one giant simulation, and they are copies of their cyber brains or DNIs, direct neural interfaces, that have been loaded into multiplayer to run simulations against each other ad infinitum. Actually, there's a group that's running these simulations to determine who to recruit and how to deploy them onto the battlefield. There is one recruiter, and there is also a spy in the group that spies among them. Some of the 9 specialists, 7 of them do not know it's a simulation, and 2 of them do. I believe that Prophet is very likely to be the spy in the simulation because he talks about the simulation all the time. None of the other characters even mention that they're in a simulation. They talk like it's very real. Prophet is always talking about the simulation, and almost every time you use the glitch ability, he will teleport backwards in time, and then he will yell out "simulation restored." And even when you describe the ability, or like you read up on the ability, it talks about him cheating, like hacking and resetting things, and it's kind of something impossible to do in real life, whereas the other abilities are not. So I believe that Prophet is the second spy, and that he's spying on all of the other characters. An interesting side note before we jump in, I wanted to talk about Spectre for a little bit. Spectre is the one that recruited everybody, and it's also possible that Spectre is the only character in the game that doesn't have cybernetic augmentations. I saw this theory show up on Reddit, that when you look at his body, you don't see a lot of cyber augs. He pretty much wears a full suit. Even the Ripper is on top of his arm and not embedded into it, and he wears a helmet, therefore he doesn't have cybernetic eyes. He gets his whole display on the screen, so he could be one of the only entirely human characters in the game. Alrighty, lots of story today, but let's move on and talk about the glitch ability. The glitch ability is my second favorite ability in the entire game, right next to the Ripper. I feel that it is overall one of the strongest in the entire game, but it is very niche. It's difficult to use, and you have to be very tactical with it. It is one of the fastest charging abilities in the game. I think only slower than the Ripper. I talk about the Ripper a whole lot, but among the abilities in the game, glitch will charge up very, very quickly. If you run overdrive, or if you capture any objectives or kill people, you will almost always have this available, and again, it takes almost no time to charge up at all. When you activate it by tapping both buttons, the game description tells you that you move backwards in time a little bit. That's not entirely accurate. As it is coded, you move backwards a certain number of units. You move 700 units away from the furthest point that you are now, which is kind of crazy. And you don't necessarily step 3 seconds or 5 seconds backwards in the past. You step 700 units away from exactly where you are now. Now, it'll put you back on the same path that you were walking. This sounds a little bit confusing. You can walk in circles, and it'll glitch you back to the furthest point away from where you started. It's a little bit strange, but that's how it works. Basically, it's easier to think about just stepping back in time a couple of seconds or just jumping backwards. The ability has been nerfed a couple of times since launch. It was originally 800 units, and it originally charged a little bit faster. On top of that, I believe in the private alpha or maybe beta, it didn't have that big blue streak that shows you where the person glitched back to, which is one of the few weaknesses of the ability, is that when you glitch, the game will display a big blue streak indicating exactly the area that you glitched back to. This was to keep from confusing enemies or just making it completely unfair because you teleport out and nobody has any idea where you're going. That being said, one of the stupidest things that you can possibly do with the glitch ability is to teleport out and then rush right back in the same way. That's what almost everybody does, and it gets the majority of people killed. If you glitch out of a combat situation, you want to take the long way around, you want to completely disengage, you want to run away. You never want to glitch out and then run straight back in. That is incredibly stupid. It'll get you killed all the time. And let's talk about a few of the other unusual uses of the glitch ability via testing. Did you know that you can walk over an active hive and then glitch right out of it and confuse the fireflies and they leave you alone? It's one of the few known ways to survive a hive. If you are stuck by a Semtex grenade, you can glitch and the Semtex will drop right where you're standing, blow up, and you can even get kills that way, which is kind of crazy. One of the more fun montagey things you can do with the glitch ability is you can literally jump off the map, get a kill or two or do whatever, and glitch right back on, problem free. Extremely effective to do. And finally, a lot of people said that you can glitch out of the purifier. As you'll see, that is completely untrue. The purifier purifies no matter what, but I did want to show you a few of those tactical uses of the ability. I've used it a couple of times myself to, say, break a hard point, run in, throw a sticky grenade, glitch out. Or you can jump off the map to get a crazy grenade throw or snipe or something and then glitch right back in. You can glitch behind your opponents, and I think of it kind of like a mulligan, kind of like a do-over, kind of like if you're bad at positioning, if you often find yourself on the receiving end of a head glitch or position that you just don't want to be in, you use the glitch to reposition yourself. You use the glitch to get an immediate, instant do-over, and when you get a do-over, you don't want to do the same thing you've been doing. You got to do something different. Again, every time you glitch, do something totally different, and it will work out for you. Also kind of fun if somebody shoots you in the back and you've got good reaction time, you can snap out and save yourself. It doesn't reload your weapons, it doesn't give you ammo, and it doesn't restore your health. So if you've taken damage and you glitch, do keep in mind that you are going to still have low health. Overall, fantastic ability, good in just about every mode, fun to use, but you do tend to need to have good reaction time to get the absolute best out of it. Moving on, let's talk about the Tempest. I initially did not like this weapon, but it's kind of grown on me. The Tempest deals a surprisingly low amount of damage at only 125 per shot. This will guarantee a kill on any player in the game and any mode in the game, except it won't kill somebody if they're carrying the uplink ball or if they have kinetic armor. This is a test of the kinetic armor, just in case you don't believe me. I've got J-Hub running good old kinetic armor over here. He's going to turn it on, and you'll have to do 2 entire shots with the Tempest to get a kill, which is very surprising because I thought it would one-shot kill anything, especially considering how good it is at shooting down aircraft. The Tempest is right up there with the Annihilator at shooting down aircraft and killing score streaks. Extremely effective at doing that. Never underestimate the ability of this weapon to shred through any score streak or kill streak in the entire game. Rate of fire is a little bit slow at 50 rounds per minute. It reminds me more of kind of like a bolt-action sniper rifle rate of fire, and it's kind of awkward too because it doesn't fire immediately when you pull the trigger. You pull the trigger, the Tempest has to charge, and then it will discharge a bolt of electricity, so you have to kind of pre-fire, you kind of have to charge and guess, which can be kind of annoying. Overall fire rate not very fast, but I find it better to spam this weapon than to be too tactical. Usually when I'm too tactical, I overthink it and I get myself killed. Of note, the only way to aim the Tempest is hip fire, or when you aim down sights you get crosshairs, but the crosshairs are not hard embedded into the weapon, they're actually hip fire crosshairs even when you ADS, so the Tempest is terrible for hardcore mode because you don't have any way to aim it. You can't aim it with hip fire, and when you aim down sights, the sights are huge and wobbly, so it's extremely difficult to aim in hardcore mode, and I would strongly recommend against using it. There is a bonus. Not only do you kill somebody in one shot, but the lightning can chain off of them onto surrounding teammates. The lightning chain radius is about 7 meters, or approximately half or 2/3 of shotgun range. It's not quite full shotgun range, but it's about half or 2/3 of what you could normally kill somebody with a shotgun, that makes it an instant death radius around the first target that you hit, which means the most effective way to use the Tempest is to shoot score streaks, number one. Number two, shoot somebody in a key or crutch position like a choke point, an alleyway, a spawn. Spawn killing people is hilarious with this gun. Or if it's something like hard point or domination, you got a couple of people on the objective, you can shoot one of them and it'll kill everybody on the objective. That being said, I don't actually recommend you going for that many chain kills. I think the Tempest is best used when you treat it as a one-shot kill special weapon and don't worry about chaining it. When I try to spawn kill people with this weapon, when I try to get multi-kills on objectives, when I sit there and wait for enemies to walk close enough together to get multi-kills, I'm always overthinking it, I'm delaying too much and letting my Tempest timer count down, and I just kind of overthink and miss. I find it better to treat it just as a one-shot kill weapon, and if anybody happens to be unfortunately close to the person that I shot, then they're going to die too, and I treat it as a bonus. You can get some hilarious amount of kills with this in Safeguard in pretty much any ground war mode because of how it chains, but don't go for the chains. Just treat it like a one-shot weapon and the chain kills will take care of themselves. That being said, I think it's a very good weapon because it offers you the ability to kill score streaks, to get multiple kills per shot, and because it's incredibly accurate, you can snipe people with it. Really, the only downside to the Tempest is the delay in firing. That is somewhat awkward. You have to pull the trigger and wait and track them the whole time. It has a little bit more auto-aim on it than normal guns, but not a whole ton. Overall, I think that Prophet is an excellent specialist with a good backstory. I think Glitch is a near perfect ability for any mode that you want to use it in, as long as you've got good enough reflexes. And the Tempest, while maybe not good for competitive because of the delay, it is very good for public matches and especially for ground war. Guys, that is all for this in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. The previous episode was on the NX Shadowclaw crossbow, and the next episode I gotta keep top secret for now. Drifter out.